Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wingcat Sports, and we're talking Lions news and rumors for the week that has happened. Some stuff has actually happened this week. It has been semi-slow for the most part for the Lions, but we kind of did a few things this week, so at least I got something to talk about, unlike what we usually have had. We'll start kind of with what happened earlier this week. We did re-sign Levi Onwuzurike, which is going to be good for the interior overall. Um, Also re-signed Miles Adams as well on the team, and Dan Skipper's re-signing was also official this week as well. We also tendered Trevor Nuwaske. So we'll see what ends up happening. I don't mind re-signing Onwuzurike. He was good last year. It does not look like the Lions are probably going to bolster up the other side of their line, which isn't fantastic. But again, we'll see what ends up happening. It's a long off season still to go. They might draft someone, but I don't think they're going to trade for anyone. It seems like Trey Hendrickson is working on an extension with the Bengals right now. Even though there's a trade request, I expect him to trade for Trey Hendrickson anyways. If anything, I expect them to re-sign Zadarius Smith after cutting him to more of a team-friendlier deal than he had when he was with the Browns. Otherwise, again, I don't expect other things to really happen on this form of the end position. We also signed QB Kyle Allen. Again, he's probably going to be like a third, fourth string QB in our system. Hendon Hooker should be your QB number 2 still. Otherwise, again, if something happens, you have someone who at least was in a different organization, has worked a little bit at QB. I think he has started a couple games overall, which is good to have. But again, if Golf gets hurt, you're screwed. I don't care how good Hendon Hooker might be. If Golf gets hurt, you're screwed. Your season's over at that point. But we do also get a extra pick in the draft because of the Carlton, not the Carlton Davis. I somewhere I saw it was because of Carlton Davis, not because of Carlton Davis, it's because of Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn being signed by the Jets to be their head coach got us a nice extra third round pick. We didn't have a third round pick this year, now we do. So we have a pick, I believe, in every round and 2 in the 7th, which is fairly good, right? Pick every round is not bad to have. Other minor transactions that has happened around the NFL involving the Lions as of late. We did sign Kenny Yaboya from the Jets. He's another tight end. He'll probably compete with Brock Wright for the number 2 spot because we know Laporta's going to have the 1. Again, I really like Brock Wright. I don't think we really have to do anything different. If he's a free agent and I didn't realize it, well, you should resign him. He was pretty good. I don't know much about Kenny Yaboya. Obviously, I could probably look him up real quick, get some stats on him. But Brock Wright, I think, is a servable second option, but any kind of position battle is always good to have overall. But the Lions are doing some stuff here and there, and it's good, right? You want to see at least some movement. I don't expect anything big to happen. When you're a bigger team, you want to make sure you're leaving that cap space because they are working on an extension for Kirby Joseph. You have to save some money for Aiden Hutchinson coming up. And again, you got JMO if you want to re-sign him. Gibbs is going to be in a few years. You got to leave the cap space. Next year, I think we had like 25 or so million in cap space. Not a lot of cap space next year. But in 2 years, we have like 100 million. So you got to get by next year. Not this coming year, but the year after that for cap space. So they got to kind of be smart right now if you want to be a competitive team. But last year, we'll go over your boy's stats. He played a total of 9 games. We played 5 games, not 9. His career 9. Career wise, he had played 9 games. He has 15 targets for 111 yards, average 12.3 overall in his career. Has 1 TD. His longest catch is 24. But again, he's probably competing for the 3 or maybe at most the 2, but probably the 3 spot. I think Brock Wright, though, if he's still on the team, he can handle that number 2 spot. I was fine before we even drafted Sam Laporta on Brock Wright. He was serviceable, and he will continue to be a good second option, I think, on this team. Yaboya, though, will have a nice amount of competition added, even for that 3 spot, because, Zylstra's an okay number 3, but again, competition always brings out the better in people. You also have a couple others on the team that could also compete for that spot. But so far, that's all I see on the total amount of what's going on for the Lions. There isn't a lot outside of that. Um, it's just slow. It's going to be a slow off season. Don't expect much to happen for the Lions. Again, personally, end wise, I think that's the biggest hole they have right now. Your secondary is good. You got DJ Reed. I think Arnold and Rackstraw will be perfectly fine back there on top of Meek Robinson. They'll handle that secondary. I think your big gaping hole right now is another piece to help out Hutchinson, even though, again, he was about to break records last year before he got hurt. You still need someone to kind of help him out. And then I would kind of look at linebackers. So don't be surprised if the Lions are going to be drafting some a defensive end in the draft, maybe a linebacker, and then maybe even looking more on the offensive side, even though we don't need it. I expect a wide receiver. Another big news that happened this week that I almost forgot, Tim Patrick being re-signed this week. I don't know how I forgot to mention that. That was probably the biggest one. I almost forgot it. Good thing I said it. But Tim Patrick, I'm perfectly fine with him. I thought maybe we would go after Cooper Kupp. He signed in Seattle for 3 years. We got Tim Patrick for another year. Again, don't be surprised if we draft someone, though. If we draft someone that gets them ready, if not, again, I think every draft we at least draft one wide receiver. If we get one high, we get one high. If we get one low, and we try to develop and see if they'll be good, that's a different story. But I think you have a good wide receiver core right now. I think they'll probably in the draft focus on O-line, defensive line, linebackers are going to be your main three positions. They don't need to worry about a running back. They might, if a quarterback is there, they might draft a quarterback. Hendon Hooker, I've said it since he got drafted, he's not the future. He's too old, and especially if you're not going to play him right away, I don't think that he's going to be the future. If anything, he's a bridge quarterback when you go draft another quarterback. But looking at it, the draft will be interesting. But we'll go into a full draft video in the coming weeks because it is mid-March and we got about a month or so into the draft. With all that being said, though, if you like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, share the video around. Let me know what you think about what the Lions are doing and what they can do to improve this team. And until next time, see everybody soon.